Hey everyone, let's have a little chat about 2016. And I want to do this instead of my letter to December because December, nothing much happened. I don't have any footage. I just worked and I was sick. So that's not very interesting. But 2016, I mean, the year is ending and it's a recap. And I really had this idea like, this year is so bad. But then I was talking to a friend. Mainly it started with like the yearly Facebook recap thing they do, and mine looked horrible. It was let's not talk about that. But then a friend of mine commented on how shitty the year was, and I was just like, how was your year shitty? He had a pretty good year. So but then he said like, well, personally yes, but globally it was really bad. And that had me thinking about it, because for me, 2016 was a horrible year overall. I'm just glad to see it go. It was stressful, it was exhausting, it was painful. But when I look at it, I think he had a point. When looking at it globally, I think we can all agree that 2016 was horrible in the celebrities that died, the deaths in general, war, crime, fighting, and hate, and the things that changed, and the dramatic changes that affect us for the years to come, that all really scare us and worry us. I think we don't need to talk about that. But personally, 2016 has been an up and down for me, and I tended to focus on the down and stressful part a lot recently because it's just been so exhausting. It's kind of like a accumulation of the last 2 or 3 years where I've been the second time in a company that closed and I lost my job and I had to find something new, and it was stressful and it wasn't getting easy and it was super depressive at points. And also with people dying. In recent years, I've lost so many people I know, close friends, family members, and it was just too much. But when I think about it, in 2016, since January, no one I personally know died. Yes, a lot of people I looked up to and appreciated and admired celebrity-wise did. But personally, no one since January, and that is not so bad. And even the work life, it's been really stressful, and I've lost a lot of self-confidence in those last 2 years. But looking at it, at the end of 2016, starting this new job, having this chance of trying out something that I had never done before, and actually getting positive feedback from my colleagues, from the people I work with, from the clients, it's actually helping. It's making me feel better about myself again. So that at the end of all that stress, it really looks like an end. I don't know how it goes next year when this job ends and I will need to find another one. But at the moment, I feel like I'm not the complete idiot I felt in November and also in the summer when I couldn't get a job. And all of that, I think, is not so bad. Also, personally, when it comes to you guys, like YouTube-wise, with the community and the conversations we had, I think we've really got something going here. We had very interesting conversations. I really enjoy your input and the support, and I think that we like affect each other and motivating each other sometimes and saying each other like, it's okay to have a bad day. I think we got something going here that is good, and I want to thank you all for being part of that, because that's been a good part in my life this year. When it comes to my health, I'm not really sure where I stand. I feel like mentally my health is not really well, but I'm kind of refusing to do anything particular about it because other reasons. And physically, I'm not really sure. I'm recovering, getting better, then getting worse, getting better, getting worse. And it's an up and down. But I do think that all the mental stress that I've experienced in the recent 2 or 3 years, that it kind of affected that. So I'm hoping that now that I'm actually starting to feel better and more confident again, and I'm hoping to get life going in a way that I can deal with it better, that also my physical health will improve again. So I don't know how that's going to get. But I feel like 2016 is the end of a long downfall of 2-3 years being stressful mentally, physically, emotionally. And I feel like I can't go on like this anymore, so it has to end. So that's why 2016 for me is like, it just needs to be over and we never talk about it again. Reading-wise, also, I find it very interesting how all of these changes reflected in my reading. I looked at all the books I read this year and the lengths and what kind of books, and it's very interesting that I gravitated to a lot of slower books. I listened to a lot of audiobooks. I reread a lot of books. The majority of the books I read this year were in fantasy and quite a lot of non-fiction as well, but fantasy, science fiction, things like that were not real and not challenging in a, like, reading a classic or reading a really difficult, challenging fiction book. And I noticed that I wasn't capable of doing any of that anyways this year. So that's why I gravitated to all the smaller books, the novellas, the short stories, the rereads, everything like that, which is okay. I don't mind. I don't have a problem with that. But thinking about like the Read Harder Challenge and things like that, last year I did really well on that. This year I bombed. I'm not sure I read any difficult books really this year or challenging books. I probably did a few, but not in the amount that I usually am. Also with the diversity of my reading, I think it was a lot less than in recent years. I didn't really pay much attention to it. I noticed that most of my reading came out of the States this year, and I don't know how the ratio with like colored or other own voices books are there. I know that I read a few, but I didn't really pay attention to that this year. And I don't know if I want to particularly do that, but I do know that I hope next year my brain is in a much better space to read more challenging books again, and not only dive in escapism fantasy, but also read stories that are more captivating in other ways. Not that reading fantasy only is bad, but it's just a different way of reading, and I notice that I'm just reading simple books. It's not the right word and not the right thing I mean, but it's sort of like this feeling that I've drifted to more distracting, easier to read books than challenging books and questioning things. And so, I don't know. I'm okay for this year because I couldn't have read anything else, but I don't know how this will be next year. Goal-wise, I don't know what I'm gonna read next year. I'm gonna go with the 70 book challenge on Goodreads again. And other than that, hope to read the books I have so that I will not have any more of the 2016 bought books in the TBR by the end of 2017. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So this was a little bit rambly and all over the place. I hope it's not too long. And thank you all if you watched till the end. I hope 2017 will be better all around for everyone. Let me know in comments what your personal 2016 looked like, ignoring the horrible things that happen all over. But how bad was it really? Was it really all bad or just sometimes? And there were some highlights, and I think we should focus on the highlights and the ups. So let's think about the good things. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being with me for another year. I just hope you're doing fine. Bye bye.